We'll start again. Welcome to the Big Ideas Guest Speaker Seminar, allowing you to engage with some of the amazing vendors, women, and guest speakers who work with us every day. My name is Sam Clark, and I'll be the facilitator for this webinar. This presentation is titled, Helping People Help Themselves. Today we will hear from personal accounts of disadvantage from people who work with the big issue. Behind the millions of magazines sold on the streets and dispatched to subscribers, there are thousands of people's stories of challenge and courage. All participants supported by the big issue social enterprises have been marginalised through their circumstances, whether it be through homelessness, long-term unemployment, mental health, physical or intellectual disability, and are looking to improve their lives. Several guest speakers are here today to share their stories with this panel. Before we begin the webinar, let's spend a minute to talk about how the software works and how the webinar will run. You should be able to see a control panel on the right of your screen. All participants will remain on mute throughout the guest speaker's presentation. You're welcome to ask the guest speakers a question at any time. To do so, just type your question into the chat box at the bottom right of your control panel. Following the presentations, I'll read out all the questions and the guest speakers will answer them. I'd now like to introduce Dave, or also known as David, who has worked as a vendor with the big issue for 21 years now and has sold the magazine all over Australia. He now works regularly in Sydney at Parramatta and Rhodes. Dave, thank you for joining us. Over to you, mate.
Hey, hi all. My name's Dave. Yeah, I grew up in Brisbane. I spent over 20 years on the streets. I was living in Brisbane. I was married, had children, and one day I developed mental illness when I was about 19, and I spent a lot of time in hospital. Anyway, I got out of hospital one day, and my wife had left the house empty. So that was my first experience with homelessness that night. And after getting over this episode with all the mental health issues I was going through, I ended up on the streets. And that's where I more or less slept for the next 20 years. Because I'd move into a boarding house or something and something would go wrong. One of the neighbours would come over, he'd be drunk, kick the door in thinking there was somebody else in the room. Or I was in a hostel up in Melbourne. And one man there decided to kill himself this night. And the following night, another bloke got bashed. So I didn't think that was a safe place to stay. It was safer to sleep out, I thought. So that's what I did. And I did that all over Australia. Went over to Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne. And that's when I came in contact with the magazine. It was down in Melbourne. But during that times, a lot of places I'd been in, I had security guards where I was sleeping. They come up, put the hose on you. Late night party goers would be coming past, they throw rocks at me and this sort of thing. And this is what happened a lot over the years. You say, you thought, oh, well, bugger the city, I'll go and sleep in the country. But it wasn't the roads you had to worry about, it was wildlife. But that's the way it was, you get all these people and just trying to make your life hard when you're trying to make your life easy. And it wasn't, and it's not easy out there on the streets. Had a lot of people a lot of good people coming up and asked if I was all right, which was very encouraging, and they're the sort of people that make life worth going on for. Because a lot of times there when I was camping there, I just didn't want to go on. I just had enough, and that's why I probably spent a lot of time in the hospital because of those issues I was having. But now it's all good. I'm off the streets. I have been now for 6 years through the magazine, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. So, yeah, that's my story.
Thank you very much, Dave. I'd now like to introduce Rachel. Rachel has joined the big issue in August 2015, and since she has joined, she's become a big feature of the big issue family here and contributed and participated in many of the programs that the big issue does run. So, Rachel, I'd like to hand the reins over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rachel. I've been a Big Issue vendor now for 3 years. And I guess being August, and I think this is my third webinar, I've had a lot to think about the last 3 years because before I entered the Big Issue, I suppose life had just become one big day. And so this one is a very special webinar for me, I guess. Okay, where do I begin? Oh, I guess I was born in the 70s, but I didn't really experience life till the 80s. Do I have to speak about that? I was born in a high middle class family, I guess, but I think me and my mum never really got on, and I didn't really have a good enough relationship with my dad. So most of my childhood, I would spend a lot of time with my grandparents, and they were really good years. And I went to school with one in the same primary school, and I learned a lot about. I didn't even know there was homeless people in Australia until I became an adult, simply. And I went to my mum and dad split up when I was about 12, and I moved to the middle of a desert in a small community town. It's actually Woomera. At the time, it was an American Air Force base. So it was very structured, and it was a good little community. And I suppose I worked in a radio station there. I became a president of the SRC, and I really saw a lot about our society, and I believed that what I was told, that we were living in a time of peace and the whole world was there for us to do whatever we want. I really believed in that in a way. And it wasn't until I sort of got to 16, 15 that I started seeing, like, my mum wasn't my mum, she was someone else. And we started having major, major problems. And looking back, I think that's where I should have just relaxed and not rushed to grow up so much and stayed in that little town, because in a little radio station I used to hear music and I used to think the city was such a good place and everybody just wanted to make the world a better place. So I hopped on a bus at 16 and left home. And I stayed with my grandparents for about a year, tried school down in the city, but it was a lot different than it was in the country. And I quit school and I worked really hard. And when I was about 19, I had a job in a hospitality traineeship. And I didn't know at the time, but I met a man and he promised me a lot. And looking back now, I think it was sometimes you can fall in love and not really work out who that person is until it's too late. And that's what happened with me. By the time I was 25, I had 4 children. And the father had severe mental health. Well, I was told he had severe mental health, but with that came a lot of abuse. And my first real issues with homelessness was simply for safety for me and my children. I was told to leave home, otherwise my children would get hurt. So I left home. And when I was allowed back in, I was allowed back in. It's hard to explain those years. It's hard to explain the fear of, and it's hard to explain what the judgments of people. Most of the times, no one really took the time to talk to me. They just wanted to make judgments of what I was going through. And then it was hard to have long-term housing, and we were always moving around until Department of Housing gave us accommodation. And when I went in there and asked for help, that's when my cycle of homelessness really, really began as a mother. And in the space of 10 years, my children and myself lived with a man with severe mental health issues in 30 different types of accommodation, and everyone knew. And I think the only way you can sum that up is you lose yourself and you don't, well, me personally, I lost myself and I didn't think I was worth anything. So about 4 years ago, I left my family knowing that I wasn't going to see them again because I did want to die. And then I was on the streets again, but that time I chose to be on the streets. And I met a big issue vendor, Scott. He works down at Woolworth. And for 3 days, he just hounded me about the big issue. And I didn't even think I belonged in an organisation like the big issue. I thought I was that horrible of a person. I just destroyed anyone that came near me. And the world would be a much better place if I wasn't in it. And I guess the day I walked into that door, I look back now, and it was the first time I actually made a decent choice to change my life. And it wasn't because the big issue was a charity or they were somewhere that could tell you what to do or how to live. They were just a stepping stone, and they had ears and they just listened. They listened to what you had to say. And they gave me a little red hat, they gave me a bag, and they said, go out. So here was an organisation that could hear me and would trust me with their brand to go and make some money, hopefully for myself and for them. And words cannot express how much power that can give someone. It's hard work. It's hard work getting out there and putting on that hat and that vest and saying, hey, I'm a poor homeless person. I need help. But after a while, you stand on your corner and you start to make a business and you start to meet so many different people. Like I've met lawyers, I've met doctors, I've met small business owners. Like the amount of people I've met in the last 3 years is indescribable. I can't explain. I've seen more unity in the community in the last 3 years than I have ever in the social welfare system. And then the last 2 years I've had, in a way, my life of homelessness actually catch up to me, and I've been diagnosed with some very bad brain injuries, and next week I'm going for a major operation, and all I know is that this time I've got something to look forward to, because with programs like this, there's hope that one day we can all work together and realise that a person is more than a number. So I probably didn't make any sense.
No, you did really well. Thank you
That's it.
very much, Rachel, for sharing your story with us. We now have the opportunity for students to ask questions. I'll read out the questions that have already come through. If you do have any additional questions that you want to ask, please submit them using the chat function in the control at the bottom of the control panel, and then I can read them out as well. But the first question came in for Dave. Dave, you had sold the big issue all over Australia. What changed between not selling the big issue and selling the big issue?
Well, now I'm, like I said, now I'm in accommodation, and this gets this gets me a purpose to get up every morning to go out and sell the magazine. You've got a reason to get up and go and do something. And that's what I found the difference with my life. Because before I started selling the mag, I didn't care about what I was doing with my life. I was just living day to day. But here I am now living year to year. You know, I don't have to live for day to day. I can make plans. I can go out and plan things I want to do. It just made a big difference in my life, yeah.
What was the hardest thing you experienced while being out on the streets?
The hardest thing I found was just the nighttime party goers. I found just the amount of hassle we used to get from them people. It was like to see someone laying there, think, oh, here's an ideal reason to have a laugh. You know, and I've had that so many times. People doing that to me, and that's why That's why I avoid sleeping on the streets in the major cities. I spend a lot of time in the country towns. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you had to deal with the wildlife out in the country.
Oh yeah, I was living in I had my tent one night in between Horsham and Melbourne. I'd put my tent up in this paddock. But I was to be right for the night. And the next morning I woke up, I had about 400 cows standing around my tent. So it was a bit of an alarm clock. And I've had a couple of possums get into my tent one night. Well, I'd gone up to the local shop or something. When I've come back, I couldn't see my tent. And apparently, 2 possums got in there. I couldn't get out, and they just destroyed it totally. So yeah, those sort of things.
I think the next question is for both of you guys. Has selling the big issue got easier over the time?
I found it as for me, because I know the magazine sells, and I know a lot of people know about the magazine. And I find, like I said, I've sold it over 20 years now. I know I can go to a town and start selling, and I know I'll sell a few because everyone knows about the magazine. So I say, yeah, it's easier for me, yes.
For me, I've got to admit, I'm my own worst enemy. I put more pressure on myself than anyone else. So, but I can really get myself sometimes in anxiety about what people think before I go out on pitch. But then I go out on pitch and it's all gone away. So, what was the question again?
Is it getting easier?
So yes, it is getting a lot easier. As long as you find a regular pitch, I think you need to have a regular pitch, regular customers.
Another student has asked, we've heard that most big issue vendors are men. Rachel, how is it different for a woman out there?
Oh, Vendor Cafe, this topic comes up quite a bit sometimes. I don't like to say that because I'm a woman that I would never place myself. Men and women on the street have as much hardships as each other. I think for women, as a big issue vendor, it is a little bit harder because with the men, they get a lot of support from the female people in society. I don't like to say this, but me personally, I've been judged a lot harshly by female people who walk by. And I think when I was growing up, you're always taught as a lady to always be quiet and always dress right and always do this. So I think you have got a lot of personal issues that you've got to deal with more than men. But other than that, we've both got our hardships, and I wouldn't put them as different as each other, really, would you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, you can't even say that. You can't even say men and women have different things because we both have the same problems, but it's just different.
Have either of you seen an improvement on the way people treat the homeless community over the last 10 years?
I find, depends on where you are. You know, like in Queensland, if you're begging in Queensland, you get arrested straight away. But if you're begging in New South Wales, you know, it's just looked at as second nature. And in Victoria, begging's frowned upon too. A lot of people do it, but but I find generally a lot of people more aware of the homeless problem now in Australia. I've really, yeah. Because when I've been homeless, I've had people come up and ask me, "Oh, you got a place to stay? Have you got blankets? Have you, you know?" Yeah, I find that it is more. People are more aware of it than they were 10 years ago.
For me, it was like when Sam came and asked me if I wanted to do classrooms. The first thought in my head was, "Why the hell would anyone want to hear my story?" It's just a normal, everyday homeless story. There's millions of us out there, and then as the years progressed with doing the classrooms, I was actually quite surprised that not many people saw the real side of homelessness, because you get the news of the dole bludgers and the people who and this and that, and programs like this help because it shows the real side, that people who are homeless are just individual people who have had one incident happen in their life that has roller coasted into a lot, and that one incident could be helped a little bit to stop a lot of incidences happening.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot through these classrooms, and especially through this university. Like this university program's grown since I've been doing it. It's only been 3 years. So keep up the good work, guys.
One question that did come through as well in terms of social enterprise, what has been the biggest thing that you have taken from the big issue?
Oh, it's my the social network I've accumulated over the years, the amount of people I've met, like Rachel was saying, we get to meet politicians, lawyers, psychiatrists, all these sort of people. And now here I am hanging out with, I've got a friend now. He was a customer, but he's a friend as well. I've known him for about 15 years. He's a mortgage broker. But when we go out for lunch and dinner or whatever, you know, he's just a friend. You know, he doesn't say, oh, I earned 200,000 last year, or I earned all, you know, he says, what do you want, Dave? A hamburger, chips? Yeah, all right, you know, and we just sit there and talk about whatever's going on. And there's no higher, lower class in the conversation. We're all equal. And that's what I like about it, is the social network I've accumulated over the years. And it's made my life getting up worth living now. You know, I feel I've got a purpose in life. Yeah, that's why I think it's, yeah, definitely.
Well, that's a simple one. Get through the fear. Every time I do a classroom or every time I see a new customer approach me, like, I used to be so scared of people, and now I understand that people are scared of me as well. And by being a vendor and doing the classrooms, in a little way, I'm defeating a little bit of that fear within myself and with other people, and breaking those judgments and barriers. Like Dave said, we've got friends with lawyers and like people we would never associate unless we had to, because we were in trouble or something. And yeah, to say I've got a lawyer for a friend, that's pretty special.
Yeah, I had one of my lawyer friends a few years ago. He says, well, Dave, if you ever get in trouble, give me a ring. I'll go pro bono for you. So there we go. I've got a bit of free lawyer advice coming my way.
Have either of you used any other services other than the Big Issue?
I used to be dependent on hostels, food vans, and that sort of thing. But I got tired of all the drama that went with these sort of faces. Because I'm the sort of person that wouldn't hold back. If somebody was doing something wrong, I'd get up and I'd say, listen, man, you can't do that here. Next thing you know, there's a big punch up in the middle of the car park or something, you know, because some people don't like it. And so I sort of distanced myself from them since I started doing the Big Issue, because I don't need to go to them now, you know, because I make my own income through the magazine. I don't need it. I'm not dependent on them anymore, as I was, say, 15, 20 years ago. Yeah,
I'd say as a female, you have more support in the social welfare system than you do as a male, as a homeless person. So I've been in all the shelter accommodations. I've been a number in St Vincent's de Paul and Salvos, and I think the problem, can I say that? Sorry, political correctness. Well, that's the truth. The problem and this is totally my view, this is no one else's view. The problem I see with those organisations is they depend on us as an income, and they box us into you're a druggie or you're this or that, and they don't actually listen. They don't hear what our problems are. They wouldn't know us from a bar of soap, but they put us into a whole big cage of like, I'm a victim of domestic violence, where really that person isn't the sole problem to my situation. It was how the whole community dealt with that situation. So, yeah, I've got to admit, if I see an ad for Salvos or Vinnie's, I cringe. Sorry, I don't want to say that, but that's the truth.
How can we help those people who are struggling with homelessness? What can we as university students do?
Well, I reckon if you see them begging, yeah, you know, you might give them a cup of coffee or something. Give them the opportunity to go out and earn some money. That's what I'd do. You know, I've met people that have been offering me jobs when I've been camping out and said, listen, come up, I need a few hours. I need you to help me for a few hours. You know? Yeah, buddy, I'll come and give you a hand. Go and do a day's work with him. He'll give me $200. You know, that's for you. I've done a day's work. I'm proud of that. You know, and that's doing that sort of thing, you know, every little bit helps. You know, next thing you know, this person does enough for you and think, yeah, he's a good worker. You mean you want a full-time job? You know, and that sort of thing. It's not judging them because they're sitting there every morning with a bit of cardboard in their hand saying how poor or how broke they are. You know, they've probably got skills there. It's just easier for them to do that. You know, yeah.
That is a really good question. I didn't mention that I went to enrolled in uni, did I? Yeah, after being here for a year and starting after doing classrooms, I enrolled in uni. No, I think I enrolled in uni before classrooms. I can't remember. It was really quick. Simply because we live in a community and we need to help each other. Maybe not in the sense of go out there to the homeless person on the street and offer them your house, but try to make the environment we live in a better place and just be nice to each other. Because I think that's where it stems from, is the way we interact with each other on a daily basis.
One student asks, I walk past people who are begging and I've heard the antic of don't give them money, they'll just spend it on drugs. Is that true?
A certain percentage, but mostly no. Not mostly not, no.
Where do you spend your pay? Like, do people question where your pay goes to? I'm sure your pay goes to the pub or somewhere. Like, you have people, I mean, I'm not personally pointing to anyone who's listening, but like, as a homeless person, we don't judge people where they spend their money. So I don't think it's fair for people to judge because that's the way of people dealing with it. I personally don't take drugs and I personally don't drink. But other people deal with life differently. I think if we change the environment, we can change that, not the one person.
Do you have any words of encouragement for us as students looking at a new social enterprise idea? Is there anywhere that we can help out?
Yeah, well, I was thinking that I think there's people involved, the public involved amongst the people that are doing it rough, doing it hard. You know, getting involved in their lives. If you've got an idea or something, think around those sort of lines. You know, might be something they could do at home. You know, or if you've got a homeless person there, you can make them something to, or whatever. You know, give them something to do that's going to, you know, give them a sense of accomplishment, achievement. Makes them feel good and probably make you feel good too. You think, oh wow, that was my idea. You know, then everyone's happy.
Yeah, pretty much that. And don't judge people because everyone has a sad story to tell. Some are just really good at hiding it. So, and some aren't. And yeah, Dave said it really well then, actually. I've got nothing to say on that one. And that's, no, I don't get speechless much.
Another student has added, I'm looking forward to the new season of Filthy Rich and Homeless. Do you guys watch that show or is it too close to home?
No, I watch it. I watched the first series and I was really stoked over what come across because the whole lot was true. Most of those places those people went through on that first series I'd been to or I'd stayed at, and I'm looking forward to the session tonight. It's on tonight on SBS.
What channel?
SBS.
I've never seen it.
And yeah, from what I've seen on the shorts of it, it will be confronting for these people, and you know they don't know what they're in for, honestly. You know, because like I said, I've had people throw rocks at me because I've been sleeping on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You know, and they cop that all the time. You know, and this is these people are going to experience this sort of thing tonight, and yeah, well worth looking at. I bet SBS are going to pay me for that.
One last question. I walk past a lot of big issue vendors, but I don't often have $7 on me. What should I do?
You can go and say hello. Go and say g'day. How's your day going? Sorry, mate, I haven't got $7, but I appreciate what you're doing. You know,
Yeah.
because you're doing a lot more than a lot of other people I know. So yeah, good on you. That's what I'd be saying. Yeah.
Personally, for me, if you walk past me and I'm saying, wishing you well and hoping you have a good day, just a smile. It's better than buying a magazine, but that's personally for me. But the money from the magazine really bloody helps. And I shouldn't say that.
Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much to both Dave and Rachel for sharing your personal experiences with us. We will be able to facilitate further questions on the discussion board. To do that, please log into bigidea.org.au for access. Our next webinar will be on Tuesday the 21st of August at 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and will feature Jackie McKenzie, a director at the Newest Group, talking about planning for success. Remember to register for your involvement at thebigidea.org.au. Thank you once again to both David and Rachel for joining us today. And thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to your participation in webinars again in the future. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. See yous.
Good luck.